Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Our topic is without her, and I have a very special guest. Her name is Shirhonda Everson, and she is my sorority sister, Chancellor at Social Club.
Yes,
Woo!
do
Go
time.
up, go up,
Yes,
go up,
baby.
go
Yes.
up. And
Yep.
y'all, I'm just so excited about having her on today because we share something very special, but I won't
Yes.
say what it is just yet. I won't say what
Mhm.
it is just yet, but I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sophia, thank you so much for thinking enough of me to have this conversation, for me to pour my little heart out and just have a good conversation with another woman that understands.
Yes.
And I hope that whatever it is that we share during this discussion, that we're able to help people and even expose a few things, so
Yes.
I'm here. I'm
Yes.
glad
Yes.
to be here,
Yes.
ma'am.
So give them a little background about you as far as like what you do and where you live and stuff like that.
Okay, so I am a millennial. Okay, I'm an old school millennial. Okay, I was born in the 80s. All right, so yes, I'm from Alabama. I was born in Alabama and raised in Mississippi. So I'm a dirty South girl. Okay, Southern gal, grits, baby. So I have a background as far as professionally. I have a background in the financial services industry. I've been in the industry since 2003. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am an amazing woman. And I love to be connected with other amazing people too. I'm very, transparent, and I love connecting with the people. I believe that God put me on this earth to help people, to have fun with people, and to also provide an element of healing, when
Mm.
needed. So that's what I'm here for.
Ooh, see, I love that element of healing. Let me tell you. Okay,
Yes.
never mind. We ain't gonna do it. We ain't
Got
gonna do
it.
it. I'm just see. I
Yes.
get excited in the very beginning. I ain't even asking no questions yet,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and
And
I'm
I'll tell
already
you this.
excited.
I'll tell you this. In that element of healing part, some of the best healers out there have had to go through some things in which they've had to heal
Mm.
themselves
Yes.
so that they can be understanding and humbling when trying to help
Mm.
other people. So I can say, and I think you know this too, sometimes we had to go through some humbling experience in which healing had to come so that,
Yes.
when we do speak to other people and at least listen to their plight, we can be like, child, I know. I
Yes.
understand. You are not alone, sis,
At
brother.
all.
You're not.
They don't understand. They don't understand that you're not by yourself. It may seem like it, but you
Yeah.
really aren't. You really aren't.
Hmm.
Woo! So the core podcast listeners, y'all know how I like to do. I don't like to beat around the bush. We like to go ahead and jump right on into the
Yes. Let's
questions.
jump. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yes, jump on in there. Just leap. Just go on and leap. And
Uh-huh.
so one of the first things that I want to say is we both lost our moms at a very impressionable age.
Yes.
So that's what we mean when we say without her. We had to grow up with our moms like probably either right before we hit our teens or in our teen years. We
Yes.
that's
Uh-huh.
that, and that's very impressionable because at that moment your cycle just really starting and you're starting to feel these hormones raging and you try to figure out what's
Hmm.
going on in the inside
Yes.
and you need your mother. So that's very impressionable. Like people can come in. We yeah, it's a whole
Yeah.
lot of stuff, but we gonna get into the questions.
Yeah.
Because I can get
Hmm.
into a whole realm of different things, but we're not gonna go there today. We're gonna go today.
Yes.
So my very first question is, did you find it difficult to look at other women as mother figures?
Okay, I'll say this. I lost my mom when I was 15. Okay. And
Mhm.
I'm the eldest. Okay. I have a younger brother and sister. When I lost my mom, I believe my sister was maybe 11 and my brother was 10. So, and the way I lost my mom was somewhat traumatic. You know, my mother had mental health issues. So she would have nervous breakdowns. And it was difficult after losing my mother. I mean, and I had close relationships with my aunts and whatnot, but it's something about losing your mother that's different. Mm-hmm. And speaking to other women that maybe were trying to pour into me, some I received, some I did not. I can say that it was hard to receive my stepmother. Just put it out there. You know, there's like no hate or anything, but I will be honest in saying, in receiving other mother figures, it was hard for me to receive my stepmother as a mother figure, because I knew that at one point in time, she was my mother's husband's mistress. Mm-hmm. Okay. So though she wanted to step in after my mom passed, because I knew the history and the things that happened, like just some dirty family secrets, okay? Mm-hmm. It was hard for me to accept her as a mother figure, because I knew part of what my mother dealt with before she passed had to do with that relationship. Mm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to accept a woman as a mother figure that you don't respect.
Ooh. Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah. And so that was hard. Now with my aunts, it was easier because I had history with them and I knew they knew what place that I was in as a child. Let's keep in mind, at 15 years old and losing your mother, you're still a child. You're not thinking like an adult, though you may know some things, you don't know crap. Okay? So, and you learn, in a sense, what's good, what's bad. Sometimes some of the things that you see or have seen from your parents or from your mother may have been dysfunctional and not supposed to be normal in a healthy element.
Yeah.
So I can't say, to answer your question, it was a little difficult accepting my stepmother as a mother figure. With my aunts, I'm like, okay. And then on top of that, you know, you want your own. You want your own mama. And then when you lose that, it's like a piece of you kind of dies a little bit. And you can't really explain that feeling, and you want people to understand, but you just like, look, this is where I am. I'm going to sort through it. And it's probably going to take some years, but that's where I am.
Yeah. Ooh.
It got easier. It did get easier for me to accept other mother figures as I started healing more. And also learning to accept loving correction from other women and trying to understand and accept that it was loving correction rather than just criticism. Does that make sense?
Yes, because yes. And so to like piggyback off of what you were saying, it was very difficult for me. And I think it wasn't okay. So my mom willed me to her sister, who they were like this, like thick as thieves. Like if you saw one, you was gonna see the other one. And it was three of them in the same city, but my Aunt Minnie and my mom, they were like this. My mom was the oldest girl of 9 children. And so my aunt was like the third to the last child. So but they was really, really close. That was like her baby. They almost look alike. And she willed me to her. And like within that first month after she passed, because she passed from breast cancer, about a month or so, somebody in my family was like, you should call her mom. And I was like, I told them straight up, I said, I'm 12 and my mom, she's not my mom. I said, had I been like 2, it's a possibility, because I wouldn't have known my mom. I said, but for you to tell me to call my aunt, my mom,
Mom?
and I know she my aunt.
Yeah, because you don't want to erase
Yes,
of
yes.
your mom. And then that's too soon.
Yeah, I was like, why would you even say that to me? Is she? And see, and then right after that, I had like several deaths right behind hers. And
Okay.
so it was like, it was too much at one time.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time though. Like I respected my auntie, but I just was like, and she wasn't the one who said it though. It was somebody else in the family. But I was like, why would you do that? When you know like you know how close I am, I was with my mom, and you're gonna come and tell me to say that. And I was like, and my auntie, when they said it, she looked at them like, what? No, don't tell her that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what conversation they had outside of me being there.
Mm-hmm.
But she told me, she said, you don't have to do that. She said, I'm your auntie and I'm always gonna be your auntie, just like my sister was your mom and she always gonna be your mom.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm gonna be honest, like my stepmom had never done anything to me, but because of the relationship that her and my mom had, it was hard for me. Like they didn't like each other, but they both could sing. So I was like, y'all could do a duet, like this.
You wanted there
But
to be a bond.
they didn't like each other because my mom still had feelings for my dad. Like my dad and my mom had never been married; they just dated, and of course had me.
Okay.
And so, but then my dad got married to my stepmom, and then my mom just was like, she didn't like it.
Gotcha.
And so I wasn't rude to my stepmom or nothing like that. And my mom never said anything bad about her around me, and she's never said anything bad about my dad around me. I just was like, I wish my mom and dad could be together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because as a child, you want your mom and your dad to be there
together
and have that there instead of raising you separately.
Yeah. And so like I respect it, but me and my stepmom didn't really get close until I had my first child. Like I still was respectful to her. I just never called her stepmom. I called her by her first name, and she was okay with that. She said it's fine, but it's just, I don't know. It felt weird to say like step. Like I even felt then that I was like cheating on my mama. I was like, it's my mama. And she was like, baby, that's your mama. She said, I ain't trying to be your mama. She said, I know Marion, how she. She said, I know I could not be that lady. But it was sort of kind of difficult because people was trying to force me to do stuff and say stuff that I didn't want to say because I was like, you can't make me do that. Like, it'd be different if I was a baby.
I think some people mean well, but that's not the way to do it. Because even after losing your mother, no matter what happened, you don't want to replace that memory, especially if you have had good memories with your mother. Like I said, my mother had mental health issues. Great, vibrant woman. Everybody loved her. But when life takes a toll and you're dealing with certain things, it triggers you and it triggers your mind. So I can say that the latter part of my mother's life was very difficult to watch because this woman, she was the homeroom mother. She was a housewife too. She was the homeroom mother. She would come to school with us. She would help us with projects. She was like the model mom. Like she created a vocabulary game with us I really loved her. And even some of the things that I do now with my own daughter, I think about my mom. However, towards the latter part of her years, she was depressed. And she lost a sense of who she was. And from the ages of like 11 to 15, I saw my mom have nervous breakdowns and go in and out of the mental hospital. Okay. Wow. And then also seeing what she experienced with, he's my stepfather, but he raised me since I was younger. And my biological dad was not around. Until like later on, shortly before my mom passed. But anywho, seeing her go through things with her husband, it just kind of made me feel something like I didn't know what to really think. I saw a certain level of dysfunction and sadness from my mother that from the ages of 11 to 15, I started seeing my mother in a different light. Still loving her, but some parts of me just felt like certain choices I wish she had made to preserve herself and preserve her health and preserve her family, her sanity.
Yeah.
That is, and forgive me if we're jumping around.
No, you're okay.
Jumping around, but that is one thing that is kind of stuck with me is that I wanted to make sure that I fought for my life in the right way.
Oh, that's good.
Because my mom, she was 34 when she passed away. And I'm 38. So for a while, I had this fear that I would lose my life at an early age and leave my child behind.
Oh.
So I said that to say, in losing your mother, and then when you have children of your own, it causes you to look at how you live your life differently because you want to be there. You want to be your best self, not only for your husband, but also for your children because they learn from us directly and indirectly. And I learned a lot of things from my mother indirectly, things that I want to do and things that I don't want to do. Does that make, because I feel it. I feel like we're about to go into some deep territory. So I hope this is in line with the second question you
And it is. And it is. Because look, the next question is, losing your mom at a young age, does it play a role in how you raise your child and the time you spend with her? And you went into that without me even asking a question. I was like, go ahead, girl.
I tell you, like I said, I'm 38 and my mom passed when she was 34. My 34th year was the hardest year, one of the hardest years of my life because I was at a defining moment when I had to decide like, okay, because it was a lot of things coming up for me emotionally. My husband and I, we were kind of at a turning point in our marriage on growth, in some growth areas. And then on top of that, just trying to heal from some past traumas of my mother's death and things that happened after my mother's death. Because there's a certain element of realizing who was around my mother and who took care of her up until she passed, who was there for her and what role they played. Because the people that you have around you when you're not at your best, it says a lot about you. And that has what encouraged me to make sure that it's not my husband's responsibility for me to heal from certain things that I ain't had nothing to do with him. It's not my husband's responsibility for me to heal. It would be helpful, and it is helpful when your spouse is supportive. But when I think about my mother and I think about how she was left in the hospital when she wanted to come home, and remembering that it also brought up like, if anything happened to me, who's going to care for my child, for our child at that? Because I didn't create her alone. If anything happened to me with my mental health, with my physical health, or if I had a moment where I literally lost it, who is around me? Who is going to care to help me get back on track? And who is going to help me raise our daughter or be a good influence for our daughter, even if her father goes through something. Does that make does that ring a
Yeah.
bell? Like, have you ever felt like that?
Yes, yes. Because here's the thing. So my mom was 36,
Ooh.
and I just turned 36 on the 1st. So from 12 to about 29,
Mm-hmm.
30, I didn't want to be 30. I didn't want to be 36 because to me, it said death. That's what it
Yes.
said.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, even though I've had every test that you could possibly run to
Yes.
see if it's in my DNA, to
Yeah.
see like, but
Mm-hmm.
then they come back and say, well, you would get cancer from this. I was like, well, God, dog it out. But
Yeah.
I made it to 36, so 36 was very pivotal to me
Yeah.
because she, even though she passed after her 36th birthday, her birthday is in March, and she passed away the week of Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Even though when I turned 36, I was reminded that I am not her
Yeah.
situation.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, but like once I turned 30 and I went and got some tests done, and it was like this weight lifted off of me. And then of course, I had to heal. And then it took my husband telling me one day, like literally shaking me and saying, stop. You got to
Yeah.
stop, because I would cry on her birthday, and then I would cry the whole week of Thanksgiving. Like it just was like, it was
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And
Yeah.
at the time I was the last time he shook me, because he shook me twice. When we was dating, he shook me, and then when we was married,
He
he
had to
shook
be like,
me.
look, get yourself
Look,
together.
come on. And he was like, I understand. He said, I understand. He said, because that's your mama.
Yeah.
And you was with her for 12 years. He said, but he's like, babe, you gonna kill yourself. You gonna give
Yeah.
yourself a heart attack because
Yeah.
you are literally stressing out every time her stuff comes. And so it got easier and easier. So when her birthday come, I'm like, at birthday month, and then I go on by my business because I don't allow that to trigger me anymore.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because one thing I realized that I needed to do for my own sanity, um, I had to start learning how to grieve my mother in different ways.
Yeah.
That, like, though my mother had mental health issues and she passed allegedly from a blood clot in her leg that spread
Mm-hmm.
to her lung.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, I had to remember, like, oh, this how she died. She was stressed out, she was depressed, and she was
Mm-hmm.
losing it and all that. And I was like, you know what? Let me remember my mom, since I did have the opportunity to remember her in her essence, in her beauty, and
Mm-hmm.
how fun she was. Let me celebrate. My mom, she was a very she's a great the personality that I have that a lot of people love me for. I got it from my mama. I got it honest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved to travel. She loved to do different things. And she loved to teach my siblings and I. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I need to grieve her in a manner that's going to bring honor and
Yes.
great. Let me heal from this, because I do miss her. And it's something about having your own child that makes you wish you had your mother around more. Because it's
Girl,
like I felt
yes.
cheated. I felt cheated.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were certain things that I wanted to learn. I wanted to pass on. Like our daughter doesn't have any grandparents
Mm.
because my father died, my mother died, my husband's father died, and my husband's mother died. So we do have a host of aunts, and my grandparents are still living and all of that. But it's like when my daughter gets older, I want her to have good, healthy memories. God forbid
Mm-hmm.
something happens to me. I want her to have as many good, healthy memories as possible so that when she gets older, she can
Mm-hmm.
reflect on, okay, I remember when my mama did this, I'm going to do this. I don't want to stress about how my mama left this earth and how much I miss her. And I'm in the bed crying and carrying on, watching TV and all of that stuff. I need to get out here and live.
Yes.
I need my children. We only have one, but I need our children to be like, look, this is how, while you here, this is what we're going to do. This is how you make the most of life.
Yes.
This is how you bounce back. Because when I go through my moments, I need, and I tell my husband sometimes too, our daughter is paying attention to see how we handle life.
Yes.
How we respond to bad news, how we respond to being stressed or overworked if we get to that point.
Woo, girl.
Child. And listen, it makes you want to do better as a grown-up. Like this whole adulting thing.
Because I started.
Want to teach her. Go ahead.
Yes, because I started working on my weight because I was like, my kids are active. First of all.
Yeah.
they are active. And so I got to be able to. My youngest one plays basketball. She likes to play flag football. She's in karate. She be wanting to do that stuff when she at home. So I gotta be able to do it, even though sometimes I be like, girl,
you gotta do something.
But it made me look. It started making me like. Once I started realizing, wait a minute, you are gonna die by 36 if you sit up here and keep living like this. So I was like, you know what? Let me start losing weight, and I've gained some of it back a little bit, like probably about like 5 pounds, and I'm not happy about that because I'm trying to get it all right now. I'm like, I gotta be the best version of me because the other day it clicked, and I put a post on Facebook and I said, our daughters are watching us.
Yes.
What are they seeing? What are we showing them?
Yes, baby, because they learning.
Yes, and I was sitting there and I said, sometimes I don't do this quick enough and I should do this quicker. Maybe I should clean up the house quicker because sometimes I'll get a little lax, because you be like, I'm just chill for a second. But they watching it, so they gonna get a little lax and you gonna go to their house and they gonna look like some little hoarders. And I don't look like hoarders. I don't look like a hoarder. So I don't want them to, they might go a step further than me. So all of that. It makes you look at all of that. And I know people are like, well, I feel like that my mama here. Well, but maybe there's something that we are saying that can help you look at it differently. Maybe she might not. This another thing. Okay, hold on, wait.
Hold on. I gotta write down something because you bringing up. Let's see. Go ahead.
So even with living mothers, people are like, well, maybe my mama ain't this way. Because I tell my kids all the time, there's a lot of parents that don't care. There's some parents who. Some of them, it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't know how. I said, so maybe your mom wasn't able to help you. Like, I know this is going somewhere else, but even then, it feels like you're without her because she wasn't able to teach you stuff growing up. So now you're a parent and you're looking at your mom and you was like, how am I a better parent to my child than my mom was to me? Maybe you can go and like do some stuff with your kid and she can see, and maybe she can start working on some things and realizing, okay, maybe when my child said I didn't do this, maybe I did. Maybe I need to start watching them and start taking notes and just seeing that even though I didn't teach it to them, they still got it. And maybe I can learn from my child. And I know it's hard to like learn from your child because you're like, I'm the mother, I raised you. But it's some stuff that we might not know, and we can't teach it to our kids if we don't know it. So it's like but there's ways that you can find somebody else that's teaching a class on it, or both of y'all can go together so y'all can learn together.
Yeah, one thing that I did, I also have a 19-year-old, she just turned 19, a 19-year-old bonus daughter. And I remember having a conversation with her maybe a couple months ago. And she had a disagreement with her father, my husband. And then she also had an issue with her mother and whatnot. And she was just trying to understand certain things. And I had to explain to her, I was like, you know what? There's going to be a point as you're growing. Because she just graduated high school last year. I was like, there's going to be a point where you're going to learn that your parents though they're your parents, they have their own things that they're dealing with. And sometimes you have to choose to forgive your own parents because they're doing the best that they can, or they're trying to heal as parents. Your parents still have some healing to do from their own childhoods. And what they could provide you or not provide you. Hey, honey, my husband just walked in the door. Hey, honey. Yeah. But what they can provide you or not provide you doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you directly, but it may be at the capacity in which they could give at that time. So that's why even sometimes you see children that have younger siblings and they feel like the younger siblings are getting more of the love and more of the breaks and all of that they didn't get, is because parents are still growing too. We are still growing. Because I know once I have another child, I know there are certain things that I'm possibly going to be doing differently with the second child that I birthed that I'm doing with the child that I have now.
Yeah.
So long story short, I did tell her, look, you may have to have a conversation possibly later on after you go through some healing yourself and speak to your parents on a level now that you're a young adult. And they may have to explain to you what they went through as a child so you can be compassionate toward, and that's going to take some growth, and that's going to provide an element of healing that you need. Because I know for my mother, sometimes I get mad, or I used to get mad because I felt like my mom didn't fight for her life before she passed. And she left me, my brother, and my sister to grieve her and left us here on earth. That's how I felt. And I'm like, why didn't you just leave him? Why didn't you fight for yourself? Why did you give up? Why did you let all of this take a toll on you so much? That I will never understand, but I do have compassion for her now that I'm a grown up. And now that I've gone through certain things, it's making me see my mother in a different area and said, you know what, either you can hold on to this or you can heal from it and do better with your daughter in that area.
Let me tell you, I just want to throw something at you. Because you're telling the truth, because it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's usually because there's a healing that hasn't gone on within them, and they're working through it, and they don't know how to express it either because it's from that child that got hurt. Not
And
the
then
adult.
And also with parents, sometimes their parents were not as compassionate as they needed to be.
Yep.
And especially in the African American culture and the Black culture, we've seen it. What you crying for? What, you better suck in this pain. Suck in you don't cry. You better get it together, or if something happens to you, oh well. And it's like, wait, I'm trying to express myself. I'm a child, and you telling me to hold in my tears. You telling me to do this. I'm not an adult. I'm a child, and I don't want to grow up thinking like life is full of pain and disappointment, and I just have to suck it up. Yeah. What if I just want to tell you, look, I don't feel like sucking it up. I just want to cry and be in my feelings. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Ooh. So with our parents, sometimes we have to understand, maybe our parents were probably taught something differently that we may not ever understand. Good, go ahead and shout. I feel it.
You look, I'm over here like, I said, Lord, we sure is like, because it's a thing. It's because your parent, okay, that question is last. We're gonna get that.
Okay. Do we get to the third question yet? Because I know we get in deep.
Look, but it's gonna help somebody, and that's why we're doing it. Because I know we're speaking on the fact that we grew up the rest of our lives without our mothers, but there's some people who Yeah.
They still
That
have their
question is
mother.
down there. Look, I'm like, that it's
Uh-huh.
a lot.
And
It's a lot.
even if you still have your mother, sometimes people
Yes.
still have their mothers, but it could almost be like they're not there.
Yeah.
And some stuff can be healed with
Mm-hmm.
time and with understanding, but some things just cannot be forced.
Yeah.
You just got to let it run its course, and you just got to let certain stuff be, and you keep going on with your heal.
Yep. Mm,
There's some
mm,
answers, there are
mm.
some questions that I've always wanted to ask my mom. Always. And even through a very hard season in my life recently, I kept
Mhm.
thinking about my mom, because there was a point in time where I had to fight for my own mental health and my own sanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to find out why I was fighting, and fighting in the right way, not just laying down and let life happen.
Yes. Oh my
But
God.
I needed, one of the things that kept me going for that particular situation is that I needed our daughter to see me win at an area that I felt like I was losing.
Mm.
And I needed her to see me, and even her father at times, I needed her to see us overcome an area that was very difficult. Whether we're dealing with something with a family member, or dealing with something in our job, when we're making decisions on whether to stay on this course or jump on a different course, I needed our daughter to see us choose to win, to choose to do the right thing, to
Mm.
choose to go to God in prayer. We
Yes.
don't understand what the heck God is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So she needed to see that from us. So when she gets older,
Mm-hmm.
she's going to have different influences. But the first influence she's going to remember is how her parents
Handled it.
handled it.
Look.
So, and that brought up something in me that I'm so appreciative for. Like, being, for one, and this may be a totally different topic, but
It's okay.
this strong black woman, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to put the world all on my shoulders. I don't need nobody to do nothing. No, I need my people that surround
Mm-hmm.
me. I need my people to help lift me up. I'm not going to carry everybody all the time because I don't have the capacity.
But I'm gonna throw this pen at this computer.
And it's okay to say that, because sometimes in our culture, we're taught as Black women that we have to hold everybody down, even if it costs us our health, our money, our time, our energy. And I'm not here for that anymore, because I thought that was normal.
Let me tell you something. You got me all
Girl, let me get
over.
my pictures.
Look, you got me all over here. So this is what I just heard. So you was like carrying it all on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And me and one of our sorority sisters, Ashley Clay,
Mm-hmm.
she was one of my first guests on here.
Mm-hmm.
And we was talking about betrayal and how we ended up some kind of way getting on cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, and as you was talking, Holy Spirit was downloading me. That's what has caused a lot of people to die too soon. Because
Yes.
they're trying to carry all this stuff that they're not really supposed to carry, which is stuff that they need to hand over to God and let Him
Mm-hmm.
help them navigate through those things. And then
Mm-hmm.
the mental breakdown is because we constantly in our mind trying to figure it out instead of and I know people say we need to go talk to a psychiatrist, and I see nothing wrong with that, like a counselor and stuff. I see nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with that. But we never want to, when we begin to, I know I had a moment, and the first thing I did was I called my best friend
Mm-hmm.
I text her. I said, hey, I said, something ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you gotta wait. And I was like, I gotta wait. I was mad. I was real mad
Yeah.
when she told me I had to wait.
Mm-hmm.
And she started speaking when I did talk to her after she got off work. She
Mm-hmm.
said, your text message was all over the place, and the Lord told me to tell you to wait. I was like, Jesus, you don't tell. So I waited and I talked to her when she got off work, and she started telling me all these different things, and she started speaking life over me.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And if the prayer that I had prayed, it still had to go through. So 3 days, I
Yeah.
had no memory. 3 days, all I had was take a bath, go take the kids to school, pick the kids up from school, cook them breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
cook them dinner, and for 3 days. But she started speaking. She said, you prayed the prayer, so now you got to deal with it. She
Yeah.
said, but when you come out, this is who you are. And she started speaking life over me. And it's like that whole, and a lot of times the mental things be tormenting things that people have said,
Yes.
tormenting things that we've said about ourselves, and the enemy whispering in your ear. See what I'm saying? See,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And you be like, you right, that is. And
Yeah.
but it took a lot of people, they start mentally destroying themselves because a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know that some stuff comes from you internalizing it, and it
Mm-hmm.
turns into cancer, and people don't think that that's true, but it is.
You better free yourself. Cause I
Because
ain't gonna
once,
go out like that.
and then,
You gotta
whew,
choose it.
listen, oh, thank you, God. I know y'all, we on something else right now, but listen, because maybe it's somebody that's gonna listen to this and gonna understand it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll show up as cancer, and it don't be cancer yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives you a wake-up call. Remember when I told you to stop stressing about that? This is what's
Mm-hmm.
about to happen to you. Because
Yeah.
there was one lady that Ashley was talking about. She said the lady went, they told her she had cancer, but Holy Spirit had been telling her to stop stressing about this, stop doing this, stop doing
Yeah.
that, all this stuff. And she went, and they said it was cancer. She went and broke down and got into prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that prayer is the only way. Like I said, because some
Yeah.
stuff you can't deliver yourself from. You got to go
You gotta
somewhere and
do the
get help.
work. Mm-hmm.
And okay, we'll get to that word in a second. And so she said the lady went back, and the doctors was like, what happened? It's because everything that Holy Spirit had told her to do, she stopped doing it, and it
Yeah.
went away.
Cause stuff, it manifests in your body. That's how I know, like at some point, I was like, I gotta get this weight off of me. This is unhealthy. Me stressing, me having this lifestyle of stress, anxiety. I remember, okay, so you probably know this, but I get a massage every single month since September
Mm-hmm.
2016. I've been getting a full body hot stone massage. Okay. And I remember telling my massage therapist, I was like, I don't know what it is, but sometimes when I'm laying down to get my massage, I feel like anxiety, I feel anxious. And he was like, what type of stress are you under? And even to the point where sometimes my skin would itch, as I'm being rubbed on or whatever. He was like, you probably need to do a detox or something. Because
Mm.
what you deal with in your life, it manifests in your body. So, of course, you're getting the massages and all of that, but you also got to do some stuff outside of it to heal your body. So if you're going through a lot of stress, you got to tone that down. If you're dealing with something, you got to deal with it in a holistic way. And then some things, yes, just go through it. So yeah, your body will take in a whole lot of stuff. And if you keep going the way you're going, that ain't going to work. I am going to say this, and I don't know how relevant it is, but I'm going to ask you, have you ever spoken to a man who loved his mama so much, but she was that hard-working woman, that took care of everybody else, but she was single.
Mm-hmm.
Or she didn't have like the type of support, but she took care of everybody else, and she ended up passing away from health related issues.
My mama.
Yeah. And so the thing is, we have got to stop creating this, oh yeah, this hard work, and she took care of everybody, she was so strong or whatever. But at some point we have to say, look, I need y'all to take care of me too. I love being there for y'all. Y'all are my family. I want everybody to succeed. But if I'm dealing with aneurysms, high blood pressure, diabetes, somebody is not helping me take care of myself.
Mm-hmm. Because they'll be out there helping everybody else.
Everybody else. So that is another thing that has helped me in trying to be there for our daughter, because I also am in an industry where I have to problem solve and help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But there has come a point where I've had to try to gradually scale back in order to deal with things better in my own household, instead of trying to help all these other grown folks that are going to make decisions for their household anyway, no matter what type of advice you get in.
Mm-hmm. Girl.
So I brought that up because sometimes we do have to place that expectation on the men as well to help us take better care of ourselves, or at least say, look, I don't have the capacity to add this onto my plate. Mm-hmm. I know I'm good at multitasking, because that's what a lot of women do. They're great multitaskers. Men, sometimes we'll be like, well, why can't you do that? I'm doing all this. Sometimes the men will let us put a whole bunch of stuff on our plate, and we have to say, okay, I think I bit off too much. Can you help me help you? Can you help me help us? Can you take on this task? Because I can do it, but it's gonna pull too much out of me, and I need some sleep.
Let me, because that's what I'm saying. My mom, that was her. Like I said, she was the oldest of 9 kids, and she was doing for everybody. She took care of everybody's kids. This not just her family kids. These are the neighbors. These is people. She came to the school all the time. Everybody called her mama, and I was be like, that's my mama.
That's my mama.
Y'all got mamas at y'all house.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's mine. That one belongs to this one. But but that was her. So when you were saying, I was like, yeah, I know exactly. My mama. And then and it was some things that happened to her at the end where she was so upset. She became a very nasty woman. Not because that's who she was, but because the cancer and the anger behind the things that was happening. She wanted to always lose weight, and she was finally losing it.
Mm-hmm.
But and she wasn't. It was because of she was losing it because of the cancer. So that made her angry.
Oh yeah, because that's not the way you wanted to lose it,
and that's not the way she wanted to lose it.
Yeah.
So things like that would irritate her. If I made a little bit too much noise, now she knew I was a loud child. But when she got sick, those last 6 months, she was like screaming and hollering at me, and I wasn't used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just was, girl, it was a whole big old, it was a whole big old thing.
Yeah.
It was a whole big old thing. But look, let me try to get to this next question, because I keep getting visitors.
Okay.
And which I think you went a little bit into it, which is when having memories or moments of with your mom growing up, how did you deal with those emotions? Like when you would start thinking about stuff about her. And I think you went a little into it about how you.
I choose at this point, though, the latter parts of her life, like she was on antidepressant medications. So it made her days and just slow. She started packing on a whole lot of weight too. And she was not her happy, jovial self. I will say this, and this is something that I think about too. I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And I know my memories of our mother may differ from their memories, especially since they were younger. So certain things that I remember, they may not remember. And certain things that they remember, I may not remember. So it's just remembering my mom now that I'm grown and now that I've done a certain level of healing, I choose to grieve her in a different manner. And when I say, okay, you know, I sure miss my mama, I make sure to think about, okay, well, I got a daughter. I got a child. Let me do something that brings happy memories so I can share it with my child. Because you never know the day nor the hour. And if anything, if you do have to leave your children before you want to leave them with as many positive memories as possible. And I can honestly say that with my mom, I remember she was a very involved mother. She was a very involved woman. She was creative. She loved helping people. So that's what you have to choose it. You have to choose what you want to rest on. I mean, I miss my mama, but I know she ain't coming back. So, and I know if she was here, if she was looking down on me, which I know she is, she would say, Shirhonda, get it together. I mean, I know you miss me, but don't spend so much time in grief that you miss out on certain things in life. And I do see, you know, some people that have lost their mother, they're in a place where I am understanding. But sometimes I just want to shake them and be like, sis, I know you miss her, but will she want you to be here like this? Find a way. What was it? March of 2018. I will say this, March of 2018 was when I realized that I started getting better with how I dealt with grief. My mother passed, I think, March 7th of 1997. Okay? And around that time of the year, I was always reminded of that's when she passed. And I was also close to the time when that's when my husband's mother passed too. So he went through, at one point, it was hard for him during that time. But I said, you know what? Instead of sitting here crying and carrying on, I'm finna do something. And I remember that year I went for a weekend to the Grand Cayman Islands. I met like 4 other women that I only knew one of them. One of my girls was like, girl, I'm meeting up with such and such, and we're going to be in Grand Cayman all week. Do you want to come for a few days? And I was like, yes.